And there's a difference when Joel Embiid is dominant. For instance, the Sixers lost Game 1 and Game 2 wasn't quite close. Look at the numbers. He had 40 and 13 in their win. So here's more ahead of Game 3 in Atlanta, starting with Gallo describing the defensive assignment that is Embiid.
Everybody in the league needs help against Embiid. There are a few bigs that are especially big like him. Clint is a great defender, but he's I don't know what his weight is, but he's definitely not like Embiid.
He's pretty much taking advantage of the deep coverage. The deep post up, getting to the free throw line or scoring. So we got to clean that up, get better. He pretty much has had his way in the first 2 games down on the block.
Trying to do the best I can, limit the movement and all. Try to be a better presence around the rim. Obviously, not being 100% doesn't help, but I just want it to be, big.
Once you step on that floor, there's no excuses, and he understands that. This is the playoffs. The way the NBA season was, I don't think anybody is 100%. So, when he steps on that floor, he has that attitude and that mentality that it's win.
Whew, just looking at some of those highlights, Lloyd, what made the difference in Joel's dominance, Game 1 as opposed to Game 2?
Well, I think he was more consistent in Game 2. And I think their team was more consistent in Game 2 in how they approached getting the ball to him in his spots and him attacking and being aggressive. Clint Capella with 2 fouls early in the first quarter forces him to sit. And now you're looking at your alternative matchups. And guarding Joel one-on-one is not possible in this league. Sending double teams, and I think his biggest area of growth is being able to pass out of the double teams. They found Seth Curry on the weak side for threes, Tobias Harris for threes. But if he's going to get the basketball in his spots, and his spots are on the low block and at that elbow, at the nail, what we call it, he's hard to guard. And so you're either going to have to send multiple defenders early and aggressive to get the ball out of his hands, or you got to fight and get him out of position. And neither one of those are easy tasks.
I keep hearing you, but ask Capella how easy that is.
It's not an easy task, but you have to keep
easy
going.
to say, right?
Yeah. Got to keep fighting.
Yeah. But, of course, we look at the numbers, and he still had 39 in Game 1 despite the loss. So we've got to look, down the roster. And Sam, Shake Milton added 14 points in Game 2, 5 of 8 from the field. So how big a difference was, the supporting cast, the others?
They've been huge, Chris. And you think about it, it's not one guy. It depends on what they need. In Game 2, it was Shake. He came in, knocked down some big threes, kind of changed the energy and the tempo of the game. But then they're nice when they need Dwight Howard, when they need another physical guy that can come in and change the game, rebounding. But you watch Shake right here. Man, that pick and roll, he was lethal, and I think the Hawks kind of fell asleep on him. They didn't think he would rise up and take these shots, but Coach will tell you this, that bucket looks big once that first one goes in and you start playing with confidence. And the thing about these young guys coming off the bench, Doc has confidence in them. He has put them in tough situations throughout the season, and that's what 72 games are for, to prepare your team for all kind of situations and circumstances. And so when you look at the way he's using his bench, it's not one guy. It's whatever he needs. If it's scoring, if it's defense, if it's running the team like George Hill, or if it's Dwight Howard, bringing in another physical guy to just change the dynamics of the game, Doc Rivers is using those pieces masterfully because he doesn't have that one guy to lean on.
Let's talk a little bit about the Hawks then, Coach, because sometimes these conversations have to be considered within context relative to expectations. So Trae did have 21, which by most standards is a decent output, but it did tie for his lowest this postseason. So do you expect more moving forward?
Yeah, I think Trae is going to bounce back. If you watch what Philly did defensively, they changed their defense, and now it's going to be upon Nate McMillan to make some changes. Look at this. First of all, they bringing everyone up on the screen and roll, so they're not allowing him to get downhill on bigs. And then when you switch a guy like Ben Simmons with those long arms and high hands, here he is again. They're forcing him into the guts of the defense. And look at the hands, high hands again. That's what you want when you're playing against a small guard. You want him to try to pass over the high hands. Look at Joel Embiid. Now, this is the multiple efforts. Joel Embiid stepped out for a hard show, and look at him get on his horse to get back to deflect that pass that leads to a fast break. Again, look at the pickup points where they pick and Trae up. Almost at half court, And that defender, even though he gets picked off, he's funneling Trae Young down to the big fella to play polo with the ball, ping pong with it, to block it. So I think for Trae Young, he's going to look at the tape. He's going to see the adjustment, the defense. And I would say to him, give it up early. As soon as you see that big step out, get rid of the ball and relocate and start that change reaction of the ball movement. Because right now, you got the best shooters in the league left in the playoffs, so you won't feel if they're going to commit 2 guys to Trae, he's got to get off the ball so he can get those open threes in the corner.
And unfortunately, DeAndre Hunter is finished for the season with a knee injury. What is the team losing in losing him?
They're losing their best perimeter defender. The good thing for Atlanta is not in this sense, but he's been out for a long period of time. He's dealt with this knee injury all season long. They got him back in the first round, and he was tremendous in that series. But they've had other guys step up all season. Solomon Hill has been inserted into the lineup. They've got Kevin Huerter, who played well in Game 2. So it's a big blow when you think of the big picture. But I think they've adjusted. They adjusted early in the season. They've adjusted in the playoffs, and they're going to have to adjust moving forward.